All right, the time is now 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this special Board of Selectmen meeting to order on November 18th at 6 p.m. and ask that you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we can go through a roll call.
Gagnon.
Happy
Right. And Kevin Cunningham, and
Becky Hewitt.
thank you. Item C in the packet is to approve the 11/9/2020 meeting minutes. Have you had a chance to run through that?
Make a motion to approve the 11/9/2020 meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
With it being a special meeting, I not included the old business, but started off right with the new business. We are here for 4 items tonight. The first is on new business, item 1, consider an act on the sale of iPark lot number 2 and lot number 3. We have been in discussions with a group that has been interested in purchasing both lots collectively. We have been talking to a group called RMS Business Group, Inc. They are out of Rockledge, and it's out of Chester Springs, PA. They're looking to purchase the property and collectively put it together because the reason why they wanted to put it together is they know that the value of adding one of the lots has a lot of wetland on it, and the previous values were not that high on it. The second lot has more value to it, and if they collectively put them together, they can put a bigger building on based on the way that the process works, by way of putting that deed together, and that's what we've been working to do, is put that together. It gives it so they can actually double the space of the building they'd be putting up there on the dry lot. So what they have proposed to do is bring forth this to the Board of Selectmen, which we would then, by the way, the consideration is for the purchase price of $55,000 for the 2. We looked at a previous assessment of both properties, and in recent times, those assessments have actually, you do comps to them and find out what it is that might be comparable, as we mentioned before in the previous discussion on lots 7 and 12. And the comparables came out to be very, very close to this. I think comps at the time from that company that was looking to help us to support it, Lyman Group, was 59. This here together is 55. So it's very close to what the comps are that they went out to look at other towns around us for the same properties, same type of properties.
The only question that comes to my mind right now, it doesn't concern approving this or not, but afterwards, do they have to come before a board to connect the 2 pieces of property?
Well, not really. We actually did that work for them because we actually redid the deed. So they don't have to do that at all.
Okay.
Yep. We put it all the paperwork's all put together, so we have it all ready to go for them. They can purchase in that way. When they come in front of a board like a wetland, or if they come in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, all they're really doing at that point is saying, this is the property that we have, and they know what it is. It's all one lot. So they don't have to go through that, putting it together.
How much of that, Kevin, was wetlands?
Most of that is on lot 2, which is, I believe, lower, closer to the roadway area. It doesn't leave a lot of it doesn't leave a lot for the buffer. So majority of lot 2 was considered wetland. And I know we have on with us here, if she wanted to speak on that, would be Mary Ellen Hall, because she's been helping us through the whole process, as well as Mary Ann Chinati, making sure that we're, what's available and what we have.
Hi, good afternoon, or good evening, I should say. I don't have a lot of information regarding the wetland in front of me, but I do believe the value that is being offered is a good value for Lot 2 and Lot 3. And that's really all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
You're welcome.
I was hoping to have Mary Ann on here to help to answer some of those other questions, but I don't see her in tonight.
Regardless, the buyer knows.
Exactly. Everything's been mapped out for the buyer. They understand exactly where the wetlands are, what the area is that they can build upon, and they're willing to go forward with this.
So with the two lots combined, Kevin, what size building can they put on there, considering the wetlands?
Again, I wish I had Mary Ann on right now. I do not, but I think what they did was they helped them out by showing them what could be.
Which again, that really isn't a big deal when it comes to approving the sale of the lots, because they'll only get approved to build
What's available. Yep. What's
So,
allowable on that for lot size.
right.
What they were saying was it gives them an opportunity to build something of a value to them and still have plenty of parking places. But again, they would have to go through and do all the finalization through whatever commission they go forward to.
Right, right. So really, you're just looking for a motion to approve the sale for the $55,000 for Lot 2 and Lot 3?
Correct.
So I'd like to make that motion, Kevin.
All right.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And because we want to plan for this accordingly at this point, pending the approval that we just did, we also have to wait for the Board of Finance for their passage of those two lots to set it to a town meeting and a date for that to go forward. I was looking at the calendar, and I've already talked to the chairperson who's on here with us as well, Tom Sinkowitz, and we were looking at December 7th as an opportunity to go to a town meeting. It gives us plenty of time to put the advertisement into the Turnpike Buyer and still be able to go forward for the public information, which we'll put up on the town website and Turnpike Buyer as well. But,
So Kevin, your suggestion is December 7th, 7 o'clock, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll make sure to make note of that.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion, Kevin, to set the town meeting for December 7th at 7 p.m. for the approval of lots 2 and 3.
Have a motion?
Would that be Zoom, Kevin?
Yes, it will. Unfortunately, through everything going on with COVID, it would be through Zoom.
Okay.
On your item 2 in here, you have 6:45.
It does. That's okay. 7 o'clock's fine.
Okay. I'll second that.
Motion for 7 on December 7th on Zoom. Motion in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. The next items are coming back to the plate only because I wanted to discuss and act on modifying the grant writer / economic development support person. And I really should have titled it like that. And I didn't want any confusion from the public or when we put it out to, hunting for that person to take that position. What I put in the packet was a rewrite just to incorporate it gives a better slant to really what it was requested as. And that was a grant writer with economic development support. And in there, it shows a modification to the duties, but mostly it's the same, bring forth grant writer as the key element here. So it does work in cooperation with economic development. It works in cooperation with the first selectman. It talks about working independently as well, but in reality, the majority of the work that would be going on would be for the grant writing. As a matter of fact, we had a couple items today which were making sure we don't misstep on, but there's some other grants that are out there for the police. So I signed one to put it into motion today for the police for DUI program. There was another one we're looking to do for Dow Road, and we're looking at our different options that we have right now. But it would be helpful to have that person to help to see if there's other avenues to go to. I really think that it really needs to be modified in this case to really gear it towards grant writer with economic development help. So if you had a chance to look through it, if you have any questions, I'd be willing to entertain discussion on them.
I
Is
have
this-
not
Go ahead.
got it, Kevin.
Kathy, you didn't get,
No, I didn't. I wasn't able to come in and get it, so I have not had an opportunity to look at it.
how about we go through Arts and I can give some highlights for you.
Okay.
Art, you have some questions or concerns or
Is
questions?
this a supervisor position?
They're working independently, so no.
Okay.
So when you say, Kevin, they're working independently, are they not going, are they, how do I want to say this? They're not actually working for the town. They're an independent person that you're bringing in?
Nope, no, this is a town employee. They do get benefits. And the idea would be that they're not in a supervisor's union or a town hall union. They would be working. We do have a couple of people who are like that.
Yeah.
Some different positions that are like that. And this is what I would anticipate the same job to be doing.
So it's not a consultant that you,
No,
okay. Okay.
So the 3 items that were scratched,
mm-hmm.
is that those items being done by the town planner, or?
Yes. Yeah, it's already being done. That's why I wanted to make sure that there was clarity as to what was being going on. As a matter of fact, now we have Marianne here. Marianne came up to my office and we talked about this briefly. Marianne, we're going through the grant writer economic development support title and restructuring of their essential duties. So the selectmen are talking about this now, and really just, we're trying to maintain that they're working for, looking to access state and federal grant programs, working with EDC, working with the town planner for submission to the economic development grants, so that they can help and benefit the town of Plainfield. Trying to, promote what goes on in town, maintain inventory, inform and provide information to the selectmen as to what is going on, so that if they see an opportunity for a grant, they can, at least give that information up to the selectmen. I mean, we were trying, like I said before, we were trying to work on what might be the best grant for the Dow Road Bridge project. And we kind of narrowed it down to what it is, what we can actually apply for, but we don't know if there's other things we can apply for outside of that. So we look at our budget every year and we see all the things that we could purchase, look at the 5-year capital and those items there. There might be other opportunities where the grant writer could actually go after different grants that they may know of. I have a list of about between probably 30 and 40 different types of things I'd like to have them look at to see if there's things that they can help us as a town to work for purchase or with a grant. But I don't have the time to go through that and do all the paperwork for that. And that's why I think it might be appropriate to have someone doing that on a regular basis.
Do you think that that's a full-time position though, Kevin?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the grant writing is the major part of it. You're also helping supporting for economic development for their resources, what they need. I do think that you gotta kind of dig in the weeds here and figure out, well, if they're looking at what they have for the 5-year capital plan and what the needs are, we have needs all the time to come up. And oh, by the way, we could do this project. We were talking about Quinnebog Valley Trail project. That might be something to talk about in the future. We will bring that up. But those things are happening all the time on a regular basis. So I think it's important that this person has a very good feel of what's going on in the town and has an understanding about, believe me, the ever changing needs as we're going through with different businesses coming in, trying to keep and maintain different businesses that are here, and working in cooperation, with Marianne, working in cooperation with the Economic Development Commission. I think that's things that they change rapidly. So yeah, I do think it's something that we can have as a full-time position.
Okay.
The difficult part, I would say, honestly, being very honest here, I think the difficult part we're looking at is a salary range, because you're looking at someone who has possibly a 4-year degree, but they're also getting paid $55,000 plus benefits. It's not an easy thing to do. I've looked around at other towns and what they're paying. They're paying a lot of money. But I'm going to give it a shot. We'll actually put it out there and try to entice someone to come in and work to help us out.
Saying you think this might be low for a grant writer?
Hmm?
You think 55 might be low for a grant writer.
I think it is a little low, but I think, but again, we put it out there in our budget, and we've moved on with it. So I think it's a starting point.
So if you couldn't find a full-time person, Kevin, that would accept that at 55,000, would you be willing to do a part-time?
I think that would.
'Cause
I,
you don't-
yeah, I agree, Kathy. I think that's something we can evaluate as we go. I will see what we get for responses back, and we may have to readjust this and look for part-time, and obviously adjust some of the salary restraints.
Because are you willing, you wouldn't really want to jeopardize their education or their background. So
Right.
that's, okay.
Yep.
So
So
you're looking for a motion then to update
job
what-
description for that.
the job description.
Yes, please.
So I'll make a motion to update the job description for the grant writer to include some work with economic development.
Motion's made.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then the final one is something we have on our table to discuss. We made a motion previously for the policy for COVID-19 for employees. I wanted to make sure that we are crystal clear to the employees in the town of Plainfield and to the town of Plainfield as to making sure that there's a process to be worked and how that the whole process works. And I just want to make sure that we understand in the packet that you have the newly added sentence at the very end. It says once an employee uses FFCRA, then the employee will use their own time for sick time, vacation time. We have to explain to the public and explain to the employees on occasion how the process would work. In this case, that's, and Kelly's here to help me out with this one, but basically, the FFCRA was a vehicle built by the federal government talking about how you've come down with COVID. And this is an 80-hour opportunity for them to access the COVID monies to help them offset their pay while they're out sick. So that way they can come back and not worry about, getting paid. After that point, we're worried about how an employee gets paid. They should know and understand that they should be using their own time. I mean, you are sick, you're out, you should be using your sick time. Sometimes people don't understand that, but we have to explain it to them. I thought it would be helpful to put it into the policy so that way it's self-explanatory.
So what about though, Kevin, if the person isn't sick and has just been was around someone that was and has to quarantine for the 14 days, how would you handle that?
Well, yep, great question. I think the way to answer this, I mean, Kelly's here, but I'll try my best. The issue is someone goes out and they say, look, I was in contact with somebody who was tested out COVID-19. And they usually ask us, what do I do? Well, the basic idea would be you go to get your test. You stay away from people in your quarantine until you get the results back from your test.
Mhm.
Some of them are the rapid tests, and that works great. Some of them are you're waiting for a test result to come back from a clinic that you went to. And sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days. And during that time frame, those people should wait till the test to come back and then give us the results so that we know it's negative or positive. If it's negative, they come back to work. Those days that they're out, they would be using their own time for sick time. As they come back, then they're back on the books doing their regular job. Hypothetical, during that couple of days that they're out, then they finally get the result and it says positive. Well, now they've got a quarantine for that time frame. And what they should be doing is then putting in the paperwork to go for FFCRA.
Okay. Thank you for making that clear.
It's a great question, Kathy, because honestly, Kelly knows, but we've been battling trying to figure out how to explain to people properly what they should be doing. And the simple thing is, as any case anywhere else, if you know that you come in contact with somebody, if you're not feeling well whatsoever, we advise them to go get checked out and get a test.
Right.
And that's the safest thing to do at this point.
Thank you.
Okay. So with that, I would,
The only issue I'm having is with the last sentence. Once an
Okay.
employee uses FFCRA, then the employee will use their own time. It just doesn't seem clear enough to me that it's a one-time thing. I'm assuming it's a one-time thing.
right, they have 80 hours accessible through that FFCRA. And believe me, they've been doing a great job with, they wear the masks. They're absolutely careful during work. My concern is really when people after work and they go out on a weekend or on their own, making sure that they try to listen to the guidelines and suggestions and recommendations that we ask them to follow. And you really, it's tough because you don't know where someone's going. You don't know their interactions, or if they do get COVID-19, where they might have gotten it from. So that's when the contact tracing starts. And the Department of Health will give them a call to say, let's see if we can figure out, where it might have occurred. But you're saying you have a problem with trying to follow along with where they
Just
get
the last
from?
line. Okay, so now what you said, I'm putting myself as an employee. Okay, now you're saying I could have 80 hours out under the FFCRA. Now, what if the first time I'm out only 60 hours? Can I use another 20 hours for future? Okay, this isn't clear enough. That's all I'm saying. That last line is not clear enough to state that
Well,
this is a one-time. After
right.
that,
We can give them the policy and explain it to them what the FFCRA does. Inside that policy, it tells them they can only go to it one time.
okay. Okay, it didn't state that here, so it kind
Yeah.
of, but it's a little that last line is just, then the employee will use their own time,
Right.
for future time out or
Yeah.
something.
Once you use that, that's why we're trying to suggest to people, don't use it unless during your time away, you find out that you're positive. And that's when you really would use it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just waiting 3 days and you decide, you know what, I'm gonna use that FFCRA, and then later on down the road they end up being sick, well, they can't go back and revisit it. So we're trying to guide them along, and when they call in, this is what we're telling them: just try to use that sparingly.
What if that last line said, once an employee uses FFCRA for the first time, they cannot use it again? Something like that. Then they know for sure they're using it that one time, then they cannot use it again, ever. I don't know. The way it's written, it's just, then the employee would use their own time.
Do you want it to be more direct then?
Yeah.
Is what you're looking
so
at,
that
Mark?
they know it can be used one time and that's it. After that, they have to use their own. I know it says that, but
Yeah.
it's a little confusing the way it's written, that's all.
So
Once an employee uses it for the first time, then the employee has to use their own time for future.
After we could do something, after the 80 hours are used, after it's used. Yeah.
Well, no, because Kevin said if I just
It
use
doesn't have to be 80 hours. Yeah.
Right.
It's one occurrence. After one occurrence.
As long as it's clear that it's just one occurrence, and then future occurrences, you could write it that way.
Use your own time. Okay.
Future
Once an employee,
once
an employee uses FFCRA and uses it for one occurrence, then the employee will use their own time
for future occurrences. Possibly something like that, yeah. Just so it's really clear.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We do have another selectmen meeting coming up on Monday. We can still draft this if you'd like and bring it back on that Monday meeting.
I'm fine with it as long as that's corrected. Otherwise, it's all the same anyway.
Got it. Yeah, I'll correct the last sentence and make it more direct.
So you need a motion? I'll make a motion that we modify the Town of Plainfield COVID-19 employee policy, and with the addition of you're going to modify it at the end, that last sentence.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and we have no other items on the agenda, so a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the time is now 6:25. Thank you all very much. I'll see some of you over on the Board of Finance meeting at 6:30. Thank you.
So the time is now 6:33. I'd like to call the regular November 18th Board of Finance meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the pledge. To the flag.
Of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Ted Dumaine. All right, Gary Stalaboyne.
Here.
Kim Medley.
Here.
Don Cavella.
Here.
Tom Sinkowitz. Matt Radin.
Here.
Keith Shealy.
Here.
All right, and then do we have Dodie and Kelly here?
Here.
Okay, very good. So is Ted on? I don't know if I saw him.
No, he's not on right now.
He's not? Okay. And then I know Travis Irons is absent. So, all right, very good. So unless Ted comes on, Keith, you will have voting rights in place for Ted.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, first item under new business. Actually, before we go into new business, first item I wanted to actually do is add an item to the agenda. So the Board of Selectmen tonight had a special meeting, came up very quick, but it's because there is a time pending on sale of additional iPark lots, obviously different ones from the ones we just discussed recently at a special meeting. This is iPark lots 2 and 3. So the Board of Selectmen literally just got out of their meeting and had approved the sale. So now the next step is we have to discuss and act upon this. So I would entertain a motion to add item 5 to the agenda, which is to discuss and act on sale of iPark lots 2 and 3 and send to town meeting.
I will add it.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now going into new business, item 1. Can you hear?
Can't hear anything.
You keep cutting in and out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Can I
Something
make, can I make a suggestion? Usually when we have this problem, it's because everybody's mic is open. So if we can, close out the mics just for right now,
Yeah.
and when you come to the voting, go ahead and do that.
Yep, no, I like that. So yeah, if everyone could do that. Yeah, like I said, not sure what happened there, but you can hear me now though?
Yep.
All right, good. So going back to election of officers. So I have talked to Travis, even though he is not on tonight. And I've also talked to Gary as far as their current positions. Travis currently as vice chair, Gary currently as secretary, and of course myself as chair. Everyone on the current slate would be willing to go another year. So that is an option, unless, when I open the floor for nominations, if there are, of course, nominations of different members for different positions, that opportunity is, of course, tonight to do so for any of those 3 positions, chair, vice chair, or secretary. So when I open the floor for nominations, keep that in mind, is that one option is you can nominate the current slate of officers for another year, or again, any of those positions. If any of you have interest, please feel free or have someone nominate you. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations.
Don, if you want to unmute.
Yeah, I know there might be still some muted. Yeah.
There you go. Now you're on.
Okay. We have you, we have Gary and Travis.
Yeah.
Okay. And Gary's
Secretary.
going to stay on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to go higher up?
I don't know. The door's closer.
Okay.
I move that we nominate Tom Sinkowitz for chair, Travis for vice chair, and Gary Stalboy for secretary.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have one nomination for the current slate. Are there any other nominations? No, hearing none. I move that nominations be closed.
Could you hold on 1 second?
Yep.
Ted just log in.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think he just tried to call me, but obviously not answering the phone during a meeting.
He's on.
All right.
Late than never.
Yeah. Ted, you there? No, not yet.
Doesn't look like it's on mute.
We have visual.
Ted, can you test your volume?
Ted?
Ted, can you hear everybody?
He doesn't have a microphone next to his name.
No, not at all. So
No. So I think he can see us, but I don't think he can talk.
Oh, okay.
ask him to do something like wave or something, see if he can.
Maybe he could try calling in using his phone.
If he knows how to do that, yeah.
Ted, if you can hear us, wave and smile. See, Kevin, do you have the ability to disconnect a user?
Oh, connecting.
He's trying again here.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Ted,
Yes, I'm having trouble here.
you're doing good now.
Couldn't tell.
Thank you. Yeah, very perceptive.
You're
Right
in the
now?
21st century now, Ted.
Where are we? We ready to adjourn?
Not yet.
Sorry about that.
So, Ted, where you came in was there was one nomination made for renewing the current slate of officers for another year. So, before close the floor for nominations, did you have any suggestions, any comment?
Did you say the current officers?
Yeah, current officers, me as chair, Travis Irons as vice chair, and Gary Stalaboyne as secretary.
That's good with me.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Okay. Yep.
So, all right, so where we stood is I will now close the floor for nominations. And so now with the single nomination, all in favor of the current slate of officers for another year, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Sorry, Gary, another year.
What have you gotten me into, Teddy?
All right.
You are very capable of that. Maybe it was
Moving on.
extinguished.
Moving on to item 2 under new business, update on the town audit. So I don't know how many of you were able to attend. We did have the annual town meeting, actually on the specific date as the charter indicates, this past Monday. However, with the audit being the timing that it is, and it was to be expected that it would not be quite ready at this point, even though we still had the meeting as a formality. It, of course, was not adopted because the other step is the Board of Finance has not approved the audit and adopted it. So until the audit is finished and until we actually have a meeting to review and approve the audit, that huge section, of course, of the annual report is not ready for approval at a town meeting. However, from what Kevin's telling me, it sounds like timing-wise, it sounds like it'll be coming up actually pretty quickly, which would be great. You know, it'd be great to definitely get this done in December, January, as opposed to June, July timeframe. So any specific updates from Kelly? I know you've been in touch with him, and of course, Kevin has been looking for updates.
Yeah, I've had contact with the auditors today. We were looking at the tax collector accounts, the allowance, and the suspense account. So we're fine tuning those. She was okay with them, so that looked good. And then right now we were looking at the intergovernmental receivables, getting that pulled together. I know that the school department sent over their grants, the federal grants, to them so they could start the single audit. So right now that's where we're at. I've been talking to them daily, so I'll try to get a little more where they're at tomorrow when I speak to them.
So Kelly, based on these recent updates, do you have any estimate? You think it definitely be done before the 31st?
I hope so, but the thing that scares me when we talk about the audit and stuff is the bank confirmation. So I sent those out to the auditors, so they should have supplied them to our banks. So that's Webster Bank and Jewish City Savings and Berkshire Bank. So we have to wait for the confirmations to come back so they can verify our bank balances or what the bank says. And the last piece that takes a little while is when we do the legal confirmation. So we send out to our attorneys to find out what outstanding liabilities there might be that we should book or not book on, accounting liability. So that's another piece that I'll see if maybe we can get those going out tomorrow and see how they feel.
And schools was still pending too, right? With a couple items?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. School, they've completed a bunch, they submitted the trial balance to the auditors, which they were asking for. So that's good. But I don't know what questions they're asking Ron right now. If they're asking me questions, I'm sure they're sending him some stuff too.
Yep. And Kevin, anything to add?
Other than the completion of the department reports, just is completed. What I did also was I added a request by all boards and committees to submit something, because the reality is, if you take a look at the budget that we have, every single board and committee gets paid money to run as a board. So I thought it would only be appropriate to ask all of those groups to submit some sort of report. Plus, it does help to explain to the public, well, what does inland water course wetland do? What do they actually do? So they can give a description of what their functionality is and what they did over the year. So I've gotten everything back. I've only got one more to go, and that's the Aldridge Library. I've completed that. So if anytime you wanted me to print that portion of it off for the public, we can absolutely do that. And they have something to go by, so that way when it comes to your actual annual town meeting, if they have questions on it, they can absolutely bring those forward to the public.
Yeah, I personally would suggest that, because I think there should be a kind of a time gap between when everything's completed and before we have the annual town meeting to approve the entire package, just because I think people should be given that opportunity to look through it. Because if we're showing it to them for the first time, or they're just, looking at it a day or two prior to the annual meeting, I mean, there's a lot of information there. I know we were looking through it the other day. Just with schools alone, plus the audit alone, I mean, it's a lot to digest from that report. So if they are to have any questions, I think they need some time to look through it. And then hopefully, if we can say, all right, at least the boards and commissions and departments, that's been out now for 2 weeks or whatever. So hopefully those who attend the meeting, if they have anything, would bring it to it. And the other thing is, whenever, I'll be, of course, in, regular communication with Kelly and Kevin about when it's done, but certainly won't waste any time when the audit is complete to have a special meeting, because, that's just my guess is, I mean, if it worked out where it was ready, right around a regular meeting, then fine. But, I'll certainly be willing to act within a pretty fast time frame to have that special meeting so we can review it and approve it. And also request, as we did just this past year, that the auditor go over it, because it's probably going to be on Zoom if I was to guess. So we'll do similar, where the auditor will prepare a kind of a brief PowerPoint summary and go over it with us. And we can also look over that beforehand. You can send it to Kelly and I, and we'll send it to the board members so we can go through it on our own time and then have questions at that special Board of Finance meeting to review it. All right, if there's no other
as
questions.
I hear something,
Yep.
once it's pulled together.
Yep.
No,
All
once
right.
it's pulled together, the audit will definitely share it, get it shared.
Yeah, no, certainly. So, all right, if there's nothing else, moving on to item 3, which is
Actually,
reviewing.
Mr. Chair,
yeah.
just one quick question on the audit. It seems like everything's pretty much moving along pretty nicely at this point, but are there any single issues that have been raised through the process yet, or that
No,
slowing us down?
Yeah, no, not yet. So I'm doing more with the taxes, like the audit, than I used to. So this is good. But like, I pulled it together this year, and they didn't have so many taxes. They wanted to see the calculations I did, and I was able to share them, and we just moved on. So the year before, last year, was a little more, more questions, more detail. This year it's looking, it's pulling together easier, put it that way.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
I'm assuming all of us on the board will get drafts before it goes out.
Oh, yeah. That's why, like, when Kelly was just saying at the tail end before I was about to move on, she said, obviously, once it's, ready, especially the draft copy, we'll get it as soon as possible, and we'll have some time to look it over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Very good. Moving on to item 3, reviewing the 2020-2021 budget statement. That was distributed. Everybody should have gotten it. There was one minor correction. I remember that we had an initial copy that was emailed out, and then Kelly sent an updated copy. What was that one update that you had mentioned again, Kelly?
So, yeah, I don't think it affected, because I don't think it changed anything on your Board of Finance one. So there was a correction that we had to do with a posting of an invoice for the election workers. So it got posted twice. So when the Board of Selectmen financial statement went out, it looked higher, the election line item. But I think when I sent it out to you guys, it was the accurate number. So the election workers right now is like, say, 14,000 actual. When it was posted originally, it was like 30,000. It was like double. So obviously that wasn't accurate. So she had to do a correction to it. And then she sent another one out to the Board of Selectmen. So I assumed you guys got the wrong one too, but I think you guys had the right one in the beginning.
Okay.
Do you want me to note like some of the items? So in state revenue, you can see I got the town got state property pilot and the hospital pilot, 34,000 and 26,000, and those were the numbers that we budgeted. So I did receive that in the month of October, the end of October. So nothing else from the state of Connecticut. Usually at the end of November, I usually see education cost share money. So I'm hoping by the end of November, I'll see something. The local revenue, I don't know if there's any questions you have about local, if you see anything
Yeah,
that
I do, Kelly.
sticks out. Yeah.
On the police miscellaneous revenue,
Yep.
that's actually $516 less than the previous month's statement.
So the police miscellaneous revenue, the reason why is they'll take in permits, say pistol permits, you know, a portion of that money has to get sent to the state of Connecticut. So they cut their checks to the state of Connecticut out of there. So I taken I don't know what the exact distribution is. So I taken $100, say $25 has to go up to the state of Connecticut. They cut the invoice out of there to the state of Connecticut because that's where they deposit all their money. And that's why there would be a fluctuation.
Another question is on investment interest. What is that? That just interest make off of the market?
Yeah. Investment interest is just interest that we're making off our bank statements, okay? Not the market, not like the pension fund or anything like that. That is just off of our bank statements.
I'm gonna say ain't doing very well at $250.
No, you know, like right now the market with interest is really low.
Yeah.
It's really low.
Other
So
now,
very sad.
When were the final property taxes due?
So
End of October?
final,
Yeah, October 30, right?
Yeah. Like for your taxes? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
It was.
that hasn't changed since the last statement either.
No. So when I asked tax collector and we talked about, you know, people having that 90-day grace period to make their tax payments, we really didn't see much of a difference than what people were paying last year. Majority of the people have mortgages where those mortgages, you know, you have to allocate into a fund in your mortgage payment, and they just cut the checks, you know, for your taxes to the tax.
Right.
So that really didn't fluctuate. There weren't many people that didn't pay their taxes. The side that you might see a fluctuation is on the vehicles. People not paying their taxes on the vehicles. Maybe that we might see, but right now we don't see a big gap.
But you know, at 45.85%, it should be a lot higher, shouldn't it?
Well, Karen, I remember last meeting, I think she said that we collected maybe 5% more than last year for taxes at this time for, you know, local grand list. I think it was like a 5% increase. So that would account for, you know, it being only 45% left. So we are collecting good, which is very bizarre, but yeah.
Kelly, off the top of your head, what percentage of the property tax revenue is vehicle related?
Oh my God. Oh, question. Okay. Let me,
That might shed some light on that 45% figure and what it really, really means there.
Right. I don't want to tell you the wrong number.
No worries. We can find out later.
I remember one year we did an analysis on the vehicles. Yeah, I can email that out to you guys so you know. Yeah. I can show you what, you know, what collection was for the vehicles so far versus last year, and then it can give you a ballpark of, you know, if we're off or not.
Right. I suppose this question might not be best just for our current group here. We might need a couple other people to pull in, but when it comes to the property taxes, you alluded to, you know, with escrow accounts and everything, a lot of the taxes are automatically collected and deposited. I was curious if the number of delays with mortgage payments and some of the deferrals that a lot of banks were granting people, I was curious if that was going to be a measurable dynamic during this COVID crisis. But I'm not sure if that is really reflected here, judging by the numbers you have on the.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was reflected in the town of Plainfield for sure, based on the collection. We didn't see any shortage or reduction in the escrow payments. No, which I'm kind of puzzled about that, but we didn't.
Well, we're not out of the woods yet, right?
Right. Yep. When I get the state payments in, that'll be good.
You're saying there. I had one other question before we get further down.
Yep.
And this was, you said you had not, and obviously on the report you haven't received the ECS revenue.
No.
As of yet, there hasn't been any indication that that might be suspended or
No, there has
timeframe
been
change, right?
no, there's been no talk about that. So I'm assuming it's gonna, be deposited as prior years. So, and I was, with the town aid road, remember last year we didn't get town aid road to the end of the fiscal year, which, that was bizarre. And then this year we got it right at the beginning. So I don't, the predictions with the state, I don't know how to predict it.
I think I recall there being a little bit more of political reasoning behind possible withholding of those funds, but
definitely.
But the ECS piece is definitely one to keep an eye on. How much further? What's what would be the latest you think is a reasonable expectation for receiving that installment?
I would say honestly, by the end of this month, by the end of November, you should have that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'll send an email out once I see it posted. I can send something to you guys.
Okay.
Do you have any? Yep.
Yeah, I got on the town clerk's office.
Yep.
Supplies and expense.
Oh, it's a credit.
It's a credit.
Yeah. Listen, it's a credit because we got a grant from the state of Connecticut regarding the election. There was a lot of additional, say, items she had to purchase, and then also for the election. So we got a grant for like $5,100 from state of Connecticut. So that's sitting in there.
Okay. And then, I don't know. Kevin, we haven't done any paving yet? Is he on?
I'm here.
We haven't done any paving in the town yet?
Well, we had some during the year 2020, but as far as this year's upcoming, we still have to designate which roads will be paved in the spring and early summer.
So the number's gonna come out sometime in the future. Okay. Engineer vehicle. We doing anything with that?
At this time, we're still holding on to it. It was budgeted for a used vehicle, and we're going to hold on to the other one we have as long as we can. We do anticipate getting that, though, sometime in 2021.
Okay. And, cancel that. Okay. I think I'm all set on that one.
Okay.
I have a question, Kevin. The highway overtime, about an extra $1,600.
Where are we? What page you got?
3.
Page 3.
Overtime.
It's about $1,600 more than last month.
But it's still very good on overtime. It's still 89.86%.
What what it was used for? By chance?
I can go back and look at it for you, but
okay. I have another question. I've been told, but I'm not sure now. On in the PD on page 4, the mechanic salary for the police.
Yeah.
Is he actually part of the highway department?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's in the highway union contract, correct.
Okay. All right.
Been like that for a long time.
Yep. Does he work at the highway garage too?
He works at the
just at the PD.
Yep.
Oh, okay. But he's in their union.
Correct.
That's okay.
Yep. As you guys can see on page 4, we're going to have to do a line item transfer for the building inspector salary.
Right, we mentioned that last meeting, talking about how that was my issue with waiting for the inspection. I mean, waiting for the passage of the certification.
Certification.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's a couple things we would like to bring forward to you for line item transfers, but they're small at this point, so we think we're still on board with being able to come back after the beginning of the year and then sharing that with you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Kevin is when would you look at doing that? Sometime in January?
Yeah, early January.
Okay.
You can see on page 5, we've contributed about 700,000 right now to the town pension plan. Health insurance represents 5 months of contributions. On page 6, you'll see general insurance and workers' comp insurance. There's low amounts left to spend because there's 3/4 in there already spent. So we pay distributions of 4, and right now there's 3 in there.
Yes, what did you say about the general insurance?
General insurance and workers' comp, we pay them quarterly. Right now there's 3/4 in there.
Okay.
So that's why the number's so
That's
high.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
I had that.
So-
I had that highlighted. Okay.
Yep. We used some money out of town aid roads recently, and it was a highway truck repair that was about 17,000. So that's sitting in town aid road, which is page 6. And page 7, local capital improvements. There's money we spend out of there. I think I noted it last time. It was for the town website. So 9,500 right now. That's sitting for the town website. And I will get reimbursed from that with the state of Connecticut.
What's the time frame on that town website, Kevin?
Well, right now I'm the only one working on it, so if you would be so kind as to give me a couple more weeks, I might give you a first draft of it. Okay.
Not a problem. I'm just really excited for it.
Yeah, I think it would be something that would be nice to see, and as soon as I get it, so that right now it's in a format where, well, if you give me a couple minutes while you're talking about other things, and I'll pull it up for you.
All right.
Kelly, you haven't heard any update on the jail cells, have you?
No, nothing. And I haven't seen any invoices, so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, haven't seen anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta check in with the chief about something else within the next week regarding road signage. So I'll follow up with him.
Okay. Just so you guys just keep an eye on the unemployment. Right now it's still 8,000, so which is good, but due to COVID, I don't know if that's going to be creeping up. That's on page 6.
Or I had a note on it.
Yep.
How are we handling somebody that has to quarantine as far as payments?
Like an employee?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a COVID policy now. We were discussing that at the Board of Selectmen meeting just a few minutes ago to amend it. Right now, the COVID policy reads, if you're positive and you want to come back to work, you have 14 days, quarantine. You need to get a negative test result, or you need a clearance from your doctor saying that you have no more symptoms and cannot spread, hopefully, the virus. So those are our protocols right now. Any direct questions? Like what are you talking about, Ted? Like anything specific?
Okay, they're not working and they're getting paid. Is that sick leave?
Okay, so we just added that tonight in the Board of Selectmen meeting. So I forgot what the CARE Act is. I don't have it in front of me, but right now with state, I think it's federal. I don't even think it's state of Connecticut. You have 80 hours COVID hours that you have to offer to the employees. So 80 hours is what they can have due to quarantine, which is obviously 14 days roughly. So after they use that, if they go, say they're hopping to a red state and they have to come back and quarantine, we're encouraging making them use their own time. So sick time, vacation time, what they have on the books, they're going to have to use while they quarantine.
Just to give some detail behind what it is, it's called the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. It's an employee paid leave time, giving them each employee up to 80 hours of use. The encouragement here is that if they go to get their test and they're waiting a few days for the test to come back, that means they've come in contact with somebody or they're not feeling good. We consider that a sick time, so they should be using their sick time. If they in fact find out that they are positive, then they would be taking this FFCRA, which pays them up to 80 hours. That should get them through the 14 days, and then they can come back to work.
And if they've used up their sick time?
They still have their vacation time available as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry I can't show you the website because they pulled it down because they're doing some modifications to it, but I'll definitely sit down and entertain discussion with Matt if you wanted to give a call in. I can show you on a Zoom later on.
Yeah, not a problem. Don't want to rush you. I was just curious.
Okay. Kind of modeling it after a different town, and I just, for functionality, I think I sent out emails to different departments and asked them for their input on it, asked them what they would like to change, and so far all I've gotten back is absolutely positive, comments about what's going on. They were very happy to see what it looked like to begin with and what it could do for their particular department. If you want to see a somewhat of an idea of what we're looking at, bear with me a second. This is the town of Bardstown. Bardstown is a very different town. They have a distillery in their town. That's how they have their revenue. And not a pun either, but their tax monies. So this is an opportunity for people to do things like, as a resident, to come and take a look at things and be able to say, well, how do I do something? Well, here's a list here of what they can actually get to. Government shows the government different departments, different opportunities for them to drill down in the government area. If you're a business, we're going to list your businesses, help you out to understand where you can go to. There's even maps that they can get to. Again, for businesses, what they can do. The thing that I think is important for people to understand is the town employees really like some of these things on the left-hand side. Documents and forms. If you want to sign up for any notifications like we have right now with Nixle. There's job openings, how to make payments. And there's also videos, and the videos are of their town trying to highlight and promote what they have in their town. Down below, if I can get this to scroll properly, you're talking about different meetings, upcoming events. Further down below, you can access each of the departments, what it might be, to help them out. And then you can put a message if you want, and there's other areas to get to other documents and forms as you normally would by just a click. So that gives you an idea of what we're trying to model after. I like the idea that I've asked a gentleman to help us out, and I'll do the stop share now and get back to normal. But basically, I've asked a gentleman to help us out by taking some high-resolution pictures and videos of our town. He has done so. So I want to incorporate those, each of the villages, a little history of each village as well with videos, and make it so that if someone's coming to take a look at what our town looks like, with the videos and the help of the pictures, it'll show them exactly who we are, where we are, and what we're doing. So I'll be more than happy to sit down with you once we get it going, Matt, and show you exactly what it looks like.
Awesome. Fingers crossed for some nice train shots.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, but hopefully no aerial views of Interrow.
Well,
That's who we are, Tom.
Can we go back to taxes for a minute?
Yep.
Yep.
We're at 45% roughly
Left to collect.
left to collect.
Remaining. So
Oh,
remaining.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought that was collect.
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you. That answers
You're
it.
welcome. Yeah. No problem.
So when January comes in, that will go down.
Yeah, it should. We're hoping.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, yes and no. Those people that paid in October are going to have to pay again in January.
I know. That's really sad, but yes, you're correct.
Yeah, but
we could run into something there, couldn't we?
Yeah.
The state of Connecticut is looking to come up with another version of that. So we'll wait to hear what they have to offer for us. And to get back to a question that was asked about the automobile, you have to remember that the collection rate for the automobile hasn't been as we anticipated because a lot of the DMV services have not been open. So those numbers are actually low. So we anticipate that as they open those up and bring more accessibility online, and you can call now and get an appointment, that we'll have more of that money trickling in as well.
Are there any tax sales being looked at?
Absolutely, Ted. Absolutely. I've already been talking to Karen about that. We have a list of the top 30. She's actually putting together a list for our tax sale attorney. So yes, we are.
Any idea what that amount is? I know back a few months it was only about 150,000.
Well, we're drafting a full list right now, and we will. If you want, I can report back in the next month and see if we can give it at least an estimate.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. And also, could we see the list? Could it get sent?
Sure, absolutely.
And that's usually scheduled around the February, March area, Kevin?
No, it depends on when. I think there was one year I think it was April. We had one in April. So it depends really when don't forget, you've also got to have the help of the attorney who has to schedule time as well to be here to do the actual auction. And there are some towns which are really in need right now. So it's going to be a juggling of when we can do it and if we can do it. But we are planning it.
All right. Any other questions or comments in regards to the budget statement? Okay, hearing none. Before we move on to the next item 4, I don't know how on earth I missed this. And of course, I also get the agendas proofread by Dodie and Kelly, and of course the town clerk's office has to approve them. But I just noticed that the agenda did not have the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. So we didn't do that. But when I went back to look at the top of the agenda, I mean, it's not listed on there. So I think this is the first agenda where I've just seen it's not listed. It's usually a default item on the agenda. So I want to entertain a motion to add approval of the acceptance of the minutes from the November 9th meeting to the agenda.
I will move for that.
I second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. So now going on to item 4, review of the Board of Education expenditures. I know I had forwarded that to everybody. Did anybody have trouble opening that? I know Matt did, but he eventually got it open. Was everybody else able to open that document?
Eventually.
Eventually? Okay. So it had some good information in it, and I did thank Ron. I was happy that we got it. And so this should be a regular monthly thing going forward. And if there's anything that anybody wants to raise as far as questions or concerns, we can certainly do follow-up with Ron. The one thing that I'll note, because I was talking to Kevin to this about the other day. Kevin, I did get some information from Ken about the lighting in the auditorium. Have you
Yes.
gotten any updates on that?
Yes, and you and I need to talk.
Okay. Because my only concern there is it sounds like it's not going to entail having to come to us to ask for any more money.
Correct.
That was my only concern, is just if they do come, and they're still considering their options. So that's why, we won't discuss this really in detail, because we don't have a lot to go on at the moment. I'm going to follow up with Ken and Christy at a later time. But my big thing that I wanted to express to him was that I hope that, if there are additional expenses that come with that project of LED lighting in the auditorium, that it doesn't go out of budget. So it sounded like that's not going to be the case, and that they still have the option of utilizing the 2% savings. Now, Kelly, what a curiosity question. I remember when we approved the 2% savings carryover, what has to be done? Does there have to be an account, or is there some other formality that has to be done to set that up?
Yeah, I would recommend, I was actually discussing it with Kyle today, the auditor, to see what he felt. So my recommendation might be where it's a separate bank account, so you can reconcile it on a monthly basis, so you know what the balance is at all times, and also set up a separate fund, maybe in my accounting system or Ron, so you can just run a report and you can see what's there. So I'm talking back and forth with Kyle right now about that to see what he recommends. And then I'm waiting for the audit to be completed so we know the exact dollar amount and what we're looking at.
And then going forward after that, once it's in place, if they do want to utilize any portion of it, we still have to look over it and approve it? Because they wouldn't control the account.
I think that would be a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, well, because that was
No.
my understanding with Ken, that even though we would set this up, I mean, they wouldn't just have the account set up that they could just go use it, at their discretion. They would
Right.
still have to put it on the agenda.
There should be some protocol.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yep, I agree.
Tommy, back to the minutes for a minute.
Yeah.
Was the motion to place them on the agenda?
Yeah, it'd be item 6.
Okay, thank you.
Just point of information on that, on the 2% holdover for the Board of Education. Then that's going to follow. The procedure would be they would request use of the funds because the funds would still be maintained by the town side of the ledger.
Yeah, that was my understanding, and I look at it similarly to we have to look at the special education cost share, or excess funding rather. Sorry, excess funding.
Okay. Because I believe
Yep.
part of that 2% holdover is that it's specifically for Board of Ed expenses, right? You couldn't reallocate that across a different cost center on the town side. It would that 2% would have to be for education related expenses.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And Matt, I think you and I had that conversation too about special education excess funding, about how, if there was thoughts that could be, it can't, obviously it's for that specific purpose.
Right.
And also, we should have the separate account set up, in my opinion, just for that.
Yep. Yeah, I was thinking even a separate fund so you can run reports out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kelly, you can just, in the future, just give us an update when that's in place, and all set.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, that was the only thing I had, is in reference to the Board of Education expenditures. But obviously, if there's any other, again, questions or concerns anyone wants to raise, we can, again, also do follow-up with Ron, and he can get back to us on anything if we have any concerns.
We don't have anybody from the Board of Ed here to meet tonight.
No, not tonight, no.
Nothing.
But the other thing too is, remember, as has been said many times about all our different departments, Board of Ed included, is that if you got, if you do have a question or concern even after tonight's meeting that comes up, you don't need to wait till the next Board of Finance meeting to, of course, raise it. Feel free to reach out to all the different departments, but especially on the school side, you can reach out to the business office directly, reach out to Ken, reach out to Christy.
Just had a quick question, maybe Kevin would know.
Mm-hmm.
They just hired the CHA engineers for the structural.
Yes.
Are they structural engineers, and where
Yes.
are they out of?
CME Corporation is the company, and they are structural. They do have a division of structural engineers. They gave a list. The Board of Education through Ken gave a list of items that they wanted to check. And they were just making sure that they hit all the points for the roofing over the gym area. So they're contracted now to go up and take a look.
So
came around.
So Ken knows exactly where the issues are?
Well, he also had some concerns, so he was sharing information with them.
Okay.
So.
Well, Kevin, when do you think there would be an update on that, like a report with obviously the findings?
It said about 3 to 4 weeks according to the paperwork I got.
Okay.
So before Christmas, I think we'll have some information.
Yeah. All right.
I have one question, and Kevin, you might have part of an answer, but this is one that I'll have to probably follow up with Ron Lucier on. I know that we have our annual audits, and I'm curious, as far as eChip goes, what auditing process they may be subject to, whether there's a report on that either the Board of Ed receives on any basis. I don't remember receiving one when I was on the board, so I'm thinking there probably isn't. But I'm kind of curious as to what impact the COVID year and going forward might have on cost spreading for self-insured groups such as eChip.
Yeah, we get audited. So eChip is, made up of different towns, and EastCon holds the audit for that. So they come in when they do the EastCon books, they look at eChip, so they audit us. With the reflection to COVID, you could ask Ron if he sees any additional costs. Right now, for the town side, I could tell you, I don't see many additional costs because a bulk of when you get tested goes through your insurance. A bulk of the test sites are, I guess, federal. I'm not quite sure, or state, but they don't get put to your insurance. So I, on the town side, haven't seen a much increase due to COVID yet.
Right.
So, which is good, but
yeah,
we don't know what the future.
Yeah, my concerns and thoughts are that as
self-insured.
As this goes on, we might see a different cost allocation or different groups push to pick up the tab for either testing or point of care, any of that going forward. And I think, we hope it doesn't come to that, but it mentions it in the report. Some of the reserves of having a 3-month run out on hand. I'd be curious to see just how many people needing, intensive care or hospital visits would actually tip that scale in that favor. So that would be a good number to keep in mind, especially for some of the smaller groups that aren't nearly as big as some of the other employers or insurance groups.
Correct. And I'm worried about the future costs of medical due to COVID. It might spike it for the future, your increases. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments, questions, or anything to raise for Board of Ed expenditures? No? Okay. Moving on to item 5, to discuss and act on the sale of iPark lots 2 and 3 and send to town meeting. So Kevin, I know you had touched on this already at the Selectmen's meeting, but I don't think too many of our members were on that. So can you just briefly again hit on that as far as so how did this come up so fast? Again, what's the group and which way are things going?
Sure. We also have on the call with us today was Marianne Chinati, so she can help if I fumble around too much. But basically, there's a company that came from Chester Springs, PA. The name of the group is RMS Business Group, Inc. And they were looking to purchase lots 2 and 3 together. There's a value to doing that. The value is the fact that one of those lots has a lot of wetland on it. So it makes it almost impossible to build. Remember, this is where we're at right now with the 6 lots that we had, which were so much of a difficult thing to sell because of their configuration, because of the wetlands they had on them, how much ledge is on there. So this was now I guess you would call this the pick of the litter is gone, and now we have left over these 6 items. 2 of them which you've already approved to go to a town meeting on the 24th. This is the next set of that, and that is section of lot number 2 and 3. The request came in to combine the 2 lots for a reason of putting them together gives you an opportunity to put on the dry area there a much bigger building, a pad to put up there for their business. So that's why they were looking to do that. We wanted to make sure that we came forward and explained to you what the price was, which was $55,000. We had the comps out there for about 59. We also had previously, way back in beginning of the year, had come up with like the wetland, wet area was actually 12,000. So there's not much value. And with COVID going on, some of those numbers have actually dropped to make it difficult to sell. This company came along and asked, can we combine both lot 2 and 3 together? What I can say to you is that we actually went along and did that with them. Lot 2 and 3 is now a single lot. So when it comes forward to when they go to the Board of Planning and Zoning, whether they go to inland wetland, it's just one lot. So that makes it much easier for them to be able to work for putting something on there. At this point, really, it's just explaining that this is a company that wants to come into Plainfield. They want to buy some properties that we had difficulty selling, and we're bringing it to the Board of Finance to see what their pleasure would be.
Just to clarify regarding the lot mergers, that has not been done and filed in the clerk's office yet. That will be done if the sale goes through.
Sale price is $55,000 for the 2 lots together.
Yes.
Any comments or concerns about the price? Because I know we had some discussion about that the last time we were talking about the lots.
What did you say?
What business they do?
Marianne? The question was, what type of business do they do?
They didn't specify what type of business they're going to put in right now. They're just buying it to hold on to for the moment. There has been speculation of potentially a hotel, but that is not confirmed. That's just speculation. But whatever is proposed will need to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Economic Development Commission and be in compliance with the industrial park regulations.
Where are they from PA?
Chester Springs.
Chester Springs.
I can give you the full address after, but it's 2600 Rockledge Court, Chester Springs, PA.
It's RMS
Business Group, Inc.
Business Group.
You're making sure their check bounces or goes through.
What was the % commission on this? Or what would it be?
This was via 6% because they are on our side, not the other way around.
And is this, I'm assuming this is similar to the previous lots discussed where there just hasn't been almost any activity on this going back to the 80s?
Zero activity. Well, I can, be upfront. We had a company that came in prior to COVID, and they were interested, but then when we called them back, they backed off.
Yeah.
So since then, nothing. And I really have to say, I really want to thank Lyman Corporation, because Lyman Group has actually put out there to the public and to the region, what's available. And so that's why I think we're really getting some of these hits right now.
And they've also given our lots national exposure.
So I'm guessing that's something that just hasn't been done for 30-something years.
Exactly.
Think about how our advertising has been going, mostly local. So this is a great opportunity for them to reach out and help us.
That's good. Well, they seem to be efficient market makers for this.
And we do have interested parties on the remaining 2 lots as well.
Good. Ted, any comments? Are you good with this?
Fine with me. She answered my question about the minimum pricing.
Yep.
No such thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So what do we need now? Just a motion to forward it to the town meeting?
Yeah, to approve the sale and send to town meeting. In talking to Kevin, I do have a date in mind of December 7th. It'd be 7 p.m. on Zoom for the town meeting.
For Harbor Day.
Huh? Oh, yeah,
For Harbor.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I make the motion to do that.
Okay, so the motion is for sale of iPark lots 2 and 3 at $55,000 and sending the town meeting on December 7th at 7 p.m. on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
There a second? Okay, you have a second. Any other discussion?
Point of
Hearing-
order,
Yep.
Mr. Chair, just sorry to be a stickler. Since Ted came back, who's the regular voting list now? Because Ted joined the
Well,
meeting.
yeah, that's why I had mentioned in the meeting to Keith that, unless Ted comes back, he had voting rights. So I think Keith is still on here. But,
Yes, yeah, I'm still here.
So obviously, Keith, you made note of that to yourself, right? That Ted's back. So
Oh, no.
you hadn't? Okay.
It's my birthday. I'm barely conscious today. So yeah. Good.
Well, Matt, thank you for pointing that out to him.
Happy birthday, Keith.
Truly nowhere I'd rather be.
But-
I think the motion just needs a second.
Yeah, but no, the one thing you did just bring to mind, though, too, Matt, is that we also have Travis Irons who's absent. So even though Ted came back, we still do have a full member absent. So does that make sense?
Oh, yep.
So, okay. So if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, now for the thing we should have done at the beginning of the meeting before anything else, item 6, to the acceptance of the minutes from the November 9th, 2020 special meeting. So those were posted and distributed.
I move we accept them.
Okay, got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
I was
Okay,
not.
one abstention. That's right, Kim, you were not there. Yep, so one abstention. Yep. All right. Very good. And on to citizens' participation. believe Sean was on at one point.
Yeah, Tom, I got one thing.
Yep.
Earlier in the meeting, when we were talking about Kevin was said that the narratives, he was expecting one from all the boards and commissions, which is understandable because they receive funding. I just want to make a comment for the general public, not for the board members, because you all are aware of this. All boards and commissions are voluntary, and that money is used for town purposes as far as staff and publications and paper and stuff like that. So board members do not receive money to serve on these boards.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like I said, that was more for any citizens that might be watching this on Watchdog.
What? All of these years, and I'm not gonna get a check?
No, it's okay. Gary and I don't either.
I do.
Don, your payment's tied to my Social Security. You'll get it then.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Touche.
I'll get some of that too.
But Kelly, just on that kind of that comment, which is good information. When it comes to boards and commissions, like us, what does the money typically get used for? Because clearly we don't go out and have fancy lobster dinners, and things like that.
No. So like an
expenses
example, the Board of Finance is meeting minutes. So we have to pay for recording secretary when we have our meetings. And the Board of Finance, I have to produce the annual reports. And then Board of Finance, when you have your annual meeting, that has to get posted in the paper. And budget meetings have to get posted in the paper. So certain meetings like planning and zoning too, you have to post them in the paper. So the cost of that is in their budget too.
All the legal notices.
Legal notices. And so one example too, that's actually a good note, is Kevin and I were talking about we're going to pretty much do the format the same way we just did the annual report, earlier this year for last year. But one of it being is, besides, we're going to probably have it's going to be on Zoom, so we'll have the slideshow and be able to go over it. But I still think we should get a very small amount of printed copies for any citizens who, and I know several myself that I've talked to a lot of them are senior citizens. They don't do the Zoom, so they're not going to be on the annual meeting. They're not going to be pulling up a PDF or anything, but they might like to get a copy from Town Hall, so we can still have some available.
Yes, we can. Yep. Definitely.
All right. Very good. Anything else? Citizens participation?
Yeah, sorry, Gagny. Just for clarification, there are some commissions that have volunteers that get paid for recording secretary. They don't have their appointed recording secretaries, like Ethics Commission.
Mm-hmm.
The volunteers do get paid.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Citizens participation? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I'll
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:40. Thank you, everyone.
Have a nice evening.
Good night, Matt.
Good night, Uncle Ted.